Myself and most of the people I knew voted no in 2014. Pretty much everyone would have said that the Yes campaign won the argument, but they'd already decided really. The big change for me was Brexit. I was born in London, came up to Edinburgh University in the 1990s and got into mining and petroleum, renewable energy. Did my Masters up here at Dundee Uni. You know, I've been working on natural resources here in Dundee for the last 7 years or so.
You, English, out!
I spent 11 years in Scotland, 7 years in Dundee and 4 years in Edinburgh. I've never had any anti-English, it's just not there. Often I find the people coming out of that are people who don't stay in Scotland. They've been told that there's anti-Englishness and they are English, and they say, okay, well if I went to Scotland I'd confront this, I'd have this in my face, but you don't. I'm just telling you, it just doesn't happen. So a lot of this comes down to emotion. My dad lives in Italy. I feel part of Europe, and that Brexit vote changed everything for me. So I think that's more important than money or anything like business or whatever. It's also about sort of identity. It forced me to think about, you know, what we're trying to do, you know, and that Scotland can be an independent country in Europe, an equal member, just like Belgium or Sweden or whatever. What's going to happen now in England, what's going to happen in the UK is that Labour's not in any position to win a general election for a long, long time now. The Conservatives are going to rule the roost. Scotland will be outvoted, and that will be it, and we'll be sort of cast away in our own sort of little England, really, expanded little England reality, and we don't want that. And Scotland, when you actually confront the issues, you can see Scotland is going its own way on so many different issues. We have different views from people down south, from people south of the border, and it's time to, it's really time to sort of make a grown-up decision and say, right, well we can do this ourselves, we don't have to have the future which is being foisted upon us, we can actually make our own decisions. Well, I think that it's quite likely that we'll exit, the UK will exit the European Union without a deal, because the two sides are just so far apart, and then you're looking at all the barriers. We'd be down to WTO, World Trade Organization rules. We wouldn't have those trade agreements in place with the rest of the world and with European neighbours. So we would be in for a real economic shock as the UK. So we can take a different path, which is the one I'm suggesting. A lot of European nations and political parties would welcome our membership. You know, there is a good news story here. Amongst all the dross of Brexit, there is a good news story for Europe. In terms of the 2014 referendum, the Yes side couldn't have done much more than they did. If people are not there willing to be convinced, then it doesn't matter what you say, frankly. But I think this time there are far more soft voters, far more undecided voters, and that's the main reaction I've had when I said I'm coming over to Yes. People have said, okay, we're going to have to make a decision about what we're going to do, because frankly we don't know. You want to come out of Europe, that's fine, that's up to you guys, but you know, Scotland can have a different path, and that means voting for independence. That's the only viable way forward. I will be voting Yes.